loud. Hello and welcome to Producing in Pandemics, session 35. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today, we will begin as we always begin this peer exchange session. We're an international gathering of random human beings producing in pandemic. So we're exchanging what we're learning about digital producing, what we're learning about sharing physical space safely, and just figuring out how to do all of this together and sharing all of our great knowledge. We're first going to begin with our field survey, where we invite everyone to introduce themselves. I'm going to go to our notes, if I can get to them. I'm doing a thing where I'm trying to double duty here. So I'm going to go into our notes and see if I can find the script for our check-in. And I'm just going to copy paste that script and add it into the chat. There we go. We're going to invite everyone to introduce themselves. Please, because we're sharing these sessions asynchronously, for some of us, we've introduced ourselves to each other about 35 times, but for those who are watching asynchronously and they're watching the tape, it's really useful for you to reintroduce yourself, say who you are and what your practice is, where you're coming from in the world. And also let us know if you're working on anything exciting right now, or actually, let us know if you're working on anything challenging right now. Let us know what you're working on. In our introductions, we do a decolonized introduction. So I will be giving you my name, gender pronouns. I'll do a land acknowledgement. We share, we have in the notes a link to a place where you can find out where your land is if you need that support. Do gender pronouns, affiliation, access needs, a visual description of yourself for those who are not participating visually, and then of course one challenge or discovery from this week. I will model to begin because it's a long laundry list. Hi there. My name is Claudia Alec. I am a Black woman with wearing curly brown hair that's kind of in like a natural fro. I'm sitting in front of a fake background, but that's actually a photo of my bedroom. So it's a photo of my room, but it's not the room I'm actually in. I'm wearing a pink dress with like a houndstooth pattern on it. My gender pronouns are they, their, she, hers. You can use those interchangeably. I'm speaking to you from the land of the Ohlone people. The people are still alive. That's the so-called Bay Area in California. And I always take this moment to acknowledge that I'm living in a country with concentration camps, and I'm looking forward to not saying that every day when I introduce myself to folks. My access needs are, I have a muscle disorder. So that means I sometimes will pull a face. I am rarely pulling a face in reaction to something you've said. I'm usually pulling a face at one of my muscles pulling me. So just assume that if I do this, I'm not pulling a stink face at what you just said. And I've got my coffee and my snacks. So all of my access needs are met at this time. Access is an ongoing negotiation, so please feel free to pop into the chat if you need extra support. For those who are participating asynchronously, there are captions already embedded in the YouTube. For those who might need captioning support, we invite you to go to webcaptioner.com, which will actually, if you just put that website on while you're participating in this meeting, it'll transcribe the conversation in real time for you. All right, so one challenge, affiliations, network of ensemble theaters. I'm speaking to you from the Calling Up Justice practice, and I work with a lot of institutions, so I might name a couple. So I feel like I'm actually going to do a longer intro. I apologize. I did a lot this week, apparently. So in terms of producing work, we did the wrap party for the Black Girl Magic 6-episode TV series, which was an interesting experiment because doing a film shoot remotely in a digital context is utterly different than doing a play. But my learnings were that in many ways it's the same. The actors need the same support, and a lot of the stuff that you usually do on a film set, it just doesn't translate to this remote work. So actually having more of the theater vocabularies and theater practices that you do for live performance kind of helped. I'm very excited that the Calling of Justice practice has now leveled up. We have placed our third digital producer in a gig. We're very happy about this. So please keep sending your jobs to me. I can't do them, but I will always find a BIPOC digital producer who will do awesome work for you. So we are very excited to be working with the Afro-Urban Society, supporting Bacchanal d'Afrique. It's a multidisciplinary Afro-Urban festival. And we have Lucy Mills-Lowe working as a digital producer on that. So very excited about that. And once again, my weekend was a weekend of seeing shows and missing shows and feeling so frustrated by that rhythm. So actually, wait, TCG conference was also this week. So it was, there was some dual presencing going on where I was like setting up the producer to work on the Bacchanal d'Afrique on one computer, being like, all right, you got everything set, everything's good, great. But I want to watch to help out. And then on the other computer, participating in a conversation about board governance with TCG. So that was fun. Didn't mind Mighty Networks at all. But my frustration about going to see plays. So I wanted to go see We Are Africa, We Are America. No, we Sing America. Darn it, now I've lost the title. It was being done at Marin. I was super excited. It was Tamila Woodard had produced it. What was it?
American Dreams.
Thank you. So I wanted to go see American Dreams, but I got my ticket for Saturday night and for some reason thought it was on Sunday night. So I just fully missed the play. And I was like, oh, it's been years since I've done that. Oh, I actually paid for the ticket too. I was so frustrated because it really is a show that you have to be there live for. Like you can't watch a tape of it. It's not the same. But I did end up watching a tape that someone sent me of a reading of We Are America. So I did get a little America in my day. And I also went to support Fresh Lime Soda. They did this amazing reading, but the reading was at 8 a.m., which I did not realize. I thought I was being really hardcore and awesome, and I showed up at 9 a.m., not realizing that the 9 they had on there was actually indicating that the reading was happening at 9 p.m. in India and 11 in New York. So if I had wanted to see it, I would have had to see it at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it's just interesting trying to see stuff and dealing with all these beautiful international time zones. So those are my challenges and discoveries for the week. That was a bit long, but we're actually okay with the folks in the room in the space. So feel free to be discursive and share what you learned this week. We also have a special guest, Summer Reyes, who's going to be sharing a little bit at the end of the introduction, is going to be sharing a little bit about in full color. Did I get that right? Hey, all right. So I'm excited to hear about that. But please, let's introduce ourselves. Just stack in the chat. We're an anti-hierarchical space, so I'm not going to call on folks. And there's no expectation that you call on anyone. Just put your name in the chat, and and you will know that it is your time to speak when the person before you has spoken. So please feel free. Someone will have to volunteer to go first, though.
I'll go first because I'm dying to turn my camera off. Sabrina Hamilton here. I use the pronouns she, her, hers, coming to you from the traditional lands of the Nipmuc and Pecumtuck people here in Western Massachusetts, as it's now known. I run the Co-Festival of Performance. My access needs are to turn my camera off because I'm not showing the left side of my face because I have terrible, terrible, terrible poison ivy. And my face is so swollen, I can hardly see out of this eye. So I'm going to just sort of gently give you this side of my face, which has some poison ivy, but a lot less. That one of the things I wanted to share was that I watched a college production this week online because I've been working live with those students and I wanted to support them. And I noticed that a lot of students who in a theater have trouble with scale, the little Zoom screen is much more friendly to their kind of performance skills. So just note it with a couple of exceptions, and then there you see the gap. And so one of the things that makes me think about working with actors who have a different home medium is to really help them think about scale, and maybe to think about devising exercises that might help them make good choices. My thing that I will paste into the chat is a link to, I talked last week about a video that I was editing. It's for another network of ensemble theaters company called the Performance Project's First Generation Ensemble. That 25-minute video is now complete. And the link is to two events where it's going to be shown. One is at 6 o'clock Eastern tonight, part of Bunker Hill Community College's Honoring First Generation Students event. And then on the 30th at 6 p.m. Eastern, it will be part of a NAMEN, which is North American Men Engage hosting. They're doing a two-day conference, and so a symposium. So it'll be at those two events if anybody wants to see it. Also, if anybody wants me to email a link, email it to them directly, I can do that via WeTransfer. And my challenge this week has been that people organizing events, just like happens when you're touring live theater, want you to send this stuff to them rather than to the technical people. And when you cut the technical people out of the direct communication with the technical people, you have real problems. So the people who think they're trying to receive the video don't have the bandwidth to download from WeTransfer. They think the video is messed up. It's not. It's already been tested by being sent the same way to other people, but they don't realize that they have bandwidth issues, and that it's much better if we go direct from strong digital signal to strong digital signal. So that is, I guess, my thought for this week.
That's me. Hi, everyone. My name is Elissa Stebbins. I use the pronouns she, her, hers. I am speaking to you from Ohlone Ramaytush land, colonially known as San Francisco. And I am a white woman with bangs and a high bun and glasses, wearing a black sweatshirt with my partner's brewery information on it, in a blue room with a yellow chair and a plant behind me and an orange couch with my dog on it. He's very cute. That's just important for you to know. I am co-founders. My access needs, before I jump into that, will be to turn my camera on and off periodically throughout the meeting today. Otherwise, my access needs are met. I am co-founder of Analog Theater with Rebecca Pingree, who's also here today. And we have been working towards a showcase production that will be, or event that we will be putting up this Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific time as part of Playground's Innovator Incubator program for new theater companies. And one of the things that we are working with is the way that things evolve in this time of digital productions. And we have seen our ideas for this event change quite a bit. At this point, it will be 2 pre-recorded segments, one of which we devised with some collaborators for the SF Fringe in September, and the second part we have just devised this week. So it's definitely a work in progress. And some of the challenges that we're thinking about right now is like partly publicity for a company so small and so new. How much do we want to, should we be pushing on social media, and how much should we just be embracing the fact that it'll probably just be our friends and that's fine, and sort of what kind of feedback do we need at this point in a process that is still in development, and how do we need to frame something that started as one thing and is now completely different, or do we need to frame it? Can we just put it out there and let people give us feedback about that? There's just sort of a lot of questions and a lot of joy in this group of collaborators, a lot of really wonderful people and work that feels useful to the world right now. And yeah, so we'll see how Thursday goes. That's sort of where we are.
Okay, I think that's me. Hello, everyone. My name is Shireen Azib. I use she, her pronouns. I am calling from the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe people, colonially known as Detroit, Michigan. Let's see, I am a mixed woman of Egyptian and Eastern, I would say, European background. I have olive skin and long brown hair. I'm wearing a black t-shirt today that says Habibi. And a red cardigan sweater. And gold earrings with a triangle and a green stone in the middle. My access needs are that I will turn off and on my audio because I have right now very peaceful dogs. There's one, but when they erupt immensely. And so it sounds like we're being attacked. And so I will just mute myself when that happens, or keep myself muted so that I don't have to panic and mute myself. Let's see. I am the co-director of Detroit-based ensemble, A Host of People. It's so funny. I feel like I keep telling folks I'm doing a lot of things, but you asked me what I did last week and I'm like, I have no idea. I'm working all the time. I don't know what I'm doing. No, I know what I'm doing in the moment, but I feel like because so much is happening in the world and so much that like I just move from one thing to the next and make space constantly. Like there's constant mind shifting happening. And so task by task. But briefly, I'll just say some of the things that are at the top of my mind. We are currently developing 2 shows, our ensemble. One is called Kilobatra, which is an adaptation, I use that very loosely, an adaptation or thought experiment around the Egyptian play Death of Cleopatra, which is supposed to premiere at the Arab American National Museum. It is a companion piece to our last show. So it was supposed to premiere this fall. We're working on if we're going to do it outside in the spring or if we're just going to hold off and wait till this supposed vaccine happens and do it as planned. We just did a Zoom reading of the second draft that was invite only, mostly to Arabic speakers last week. And I learned a lot. It was a challenge to do both. I think for us, like a show that has so much Arabic in it and like where we're not doing translation live, that's part of it, is like there's a layer around like what it is to access language. And so, or not, like that's a big question in the show. And so it was interesting to do it over Zoom. I think it opened up a lot of what we were working on, actually, but it's a hard thing to work through on an online platform, I would say, like in process, be like to feel the things that aren't working and be like, yes, I know this is part of the process, right? Of like, this is why we're doing it, to feel those things, but in real time be like, oh, it's not working. But they're like, oh, great, this is why we do this, right? This is why we do work in progresses. So there's that. We're also working on a show about the freeness of speech in this divisive political landscape and in digital spaces called Fire in the Theater. Which we're really excited about. And this fall our community engagement portion was going to be like very intimate community dinners, which we are not going to do right now, but we're going to do in different ways. But it was really exciting to have like our brainstorm session, our last like online rehearsal around like, okay, this gives us the opportunity to rethink community engagement, right? And so now we're really excited about having a hotline, like doing pen pal letters, like having proxies of maybe like people that we could of populations that maybe we wouldn't have access to as outsiders, but find somebody that can like go have the conversation for us, have like conversations in like multi-generational households with somebody that can enter in a safe way. Like, so that was all really exciting. So like something that we were like, it was a big problem turned into like a big opportunity that I think is going to make us think about how we engage with community in a variety of different ways going forward, and not do something that we know we do well, which is hosting people and have food. And like, yes, that will be a part of it, but it can be so many more layers of things too. So that's like super exciting. And then it's the end of the year and we're trying to make a budget. Like we're on our ensemble's on a fiscal year, calendar year is our fiscal year. So they're like in the thick of budgeting right now and trying to figure out. And it's a little bit more, in some ways it's easier because a lot of like our project money is just like that we didn't do this year is like transferring over to next year, but it's like also complicated because we want to start other things. We already have so much that we're doing right now that just has been like expanded and like, what is the timeline? Like we're like, all those things I'm sure people are thinking about too, but is on the forefront of my mind is I'm supposed to have a draft of a budget by the end of the week. So I think that's it for me. I'm really, it's been a few weeks since I've been to this meeting and I'm just happy to be back. So yeah, that's me, checked in, thanks.
Good morning, this is Mickey Goldhaber. I'm coming to you from Ohlone Land in Berkeley, California. I am the artistic director of Rye Cripps Disabled Women's Theater. And I'm gonna be real honest about my access needs. I'm having a very tough morning. I'm moving slow. I'm literally in the process of putting on my foot ankle brace while I'm talking to you. And I'm having some vertigo, which I really think was caused by the stress of the election. Because I don't know, I didn't hit my head or anything. I don't know what else could have caused it, but I love you guys. So I'm just being really honest. Also, last Monday, I wasn't here because of a power outage. So that's the thing that we're grappling with in this digital age. Our whole part of Berkeley was out for a few hours. On the exciting front, Rye Cripps has been invited to do a virtual production of Rye Cripps Occupy, our piece about the 504 sit-in, which we were going to be performing live in May at the Black Repertory Group. But now they have invited us to embark on the very beginning of their digital producing. And Claudia, thanks so much for explaining about how you're finding folks, because they just lost their digital producer and I'm trying to help them find someone because they're doing a benefit in December. And I'll send you the info. And let's see, also was very excited to participate in Occupy the Stage, the 40 play marathon by the Women's Theater Festival of North Carolina. I had a short play that was performed and I worked with Heather on the play she directed. God, I sound like I'm gasping. It's just because I'm just waking up. I haven't had my coffee or breakfast yet. Anyways, but I always want to be here when I can. So love you guys.
Hey, Mickey. Mickey, before you're, well, maybe you can turn it back on. I'm next. And I just wanted to know if it's okay if I share about your experience with Marie, what I know of it as an outsider.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. In fact, I should have talked about that. Thank you.
Do you want to do it? Do you want to do it, or do you want me to just say what I know?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Heather Ondersma, she, her pronouns, calling in from the Chochenyo speaking land of the Chochenyo speaking Ohlone people who still live here, who revived their language after a period of silence, colonially known as Berkeley, California. I'm a white woman wearing glasses, shoulder length, gray, going into reddish hair, reddish orangey scarf, and green sweater against a white background. So first, I just wanted to share one other thing, exciting thing that I know Mickey participated in over this last week, is that in the Rye Cripps ensemble, there is a member who's blind, who's never been on Zoom before. And Mickey, in 2 sessions, was successful with one other person assisting in getting this performer to be able to perform on Zoom. So I think that's like really huge and groundbreaking and exciting. I was not there because I was doing other things, but I will be part of that production coming up. So I'm excited to get to work with all the people in Rye Crips who have various access needs. But but Mickey is finding ways for everyone to be supported and comfortable and able to share on Zoom. So I had a tiny discovery. At the same time, Mickey was Zooming with Marie on, I was in a workshop that included a person who's an ASL interpreter. And I had always heard, oh, ASL interpretation, you need to get people in from the beginning and it's so expensive and you need to make room in the, but I mean, I think I had built it up in my mind that this was like a huge dollar amount, which I know it can be, especially if you are committed to having your interpreter there from day one or through a lot of the rehearsal process. But in my mind, that was like a mountain that had to be climbed. And I talked to this woman about that Occupy project to ask her what her rates were. And she said she charges $40 an hour. And I just thought, that is not a huge mountain. I mean, maybe if they're, especially for a smaller project. So I was excited to feel like this is something we can afford without having to, do huge amounts of fundraising to make it happen. One other tiny kind of access related discovery I had that was really last week when I was directing that show, but some of the things have kind of just been dropping in for me, even though the show's over. And that was, and I think I might have referred to it last week, but I've really been thinking about it more and more, that I had texting in my which I did not include in the caption script, because at the time that I had to submit the script for captioning, I thought, oh, that's visual. The phone's going to be right there and we'll be able to read everything. Well, that didn't work out. And for future, I'm like, plan B is maybe caption things that you think are visual that are going to be clear. Maybe go more than what you think is necessary just to have that covered. I think that's it. And I don't remember who I'm passing to. Rebecca maybe, or Summer. I'm not sure. I'll turn my sound off.
No, I think it's me. Thank you, Heather. Oh man. Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking about just some days trying to whittle it down is hard. Anyway, hi. Rebecca, she, hers. I'm speaking to you from the land of the Chochenyo Ohlone people, which is colonially known as Berkeley, California. I am a white woman with kind of slate blue flame-worked glass earrings. You can't really see, but they're my favorite. And I have a kind of cowly necked, very soft fabric dress on. And I'm sitting in front of a bunch of a mix of practical objects and theatrical rubble in my bedroom. And things that I am working on. I am I'm a co-founder of Analog Theater that Elissa mentioned. And so that has been a huge part of the last couple of weeks is stuff that Elissa mentioned, which I don't have to. I'm like, wow, awesome. And then because I never can sense how timing is going to go in advance, despite the fact that this is not my first life rodeo, I have found myself in a week that is just everything all at the same time. So I'm working on a virtual theater festival in England this week as well. It's called the 1448 Festival. It's called the World's Quickest Theater Festival, and I did it a lot when I was in grad school in England. And it is normally it's 14 plays in 48 hours, and they transitioned to virtual, and so I was able to participate from California in a musical capacity, where I'm providing basically the original pieces that are written very quickly and then produced very quickly, though now it's being produced virtually, and very quickly. They're being pre-recorded, and then there is director and actor requested like interstitial music, intro and outro music, and then also kind of like event bookending music. And all of the collaborators are all distant from each other, even though most of them are in England. So there's also a different time zone happening. And it has caused me to think a lot, and it feels very related to what I'm going through with analog right now, that there are all of these ways that I'm terribly experienced in the theater. I've been doing this for more than 20 years, and that I'm experienced as an actor and as a like deviser collaborator, and certainly as a singer, and with a lot of like musical compositional things. But that where I keep finding myself in the scheme of pandemic producing is having to not having the privilege of being able to focus on the things that I already know how to do. I have to be it feels, and I was talking about it last night, it feels like being a child again, where I'm like, I'm watching a tutorial on how to program drums in Guitar Band, and I am going to do this. And then I'm just like, I'm putting filters on things, and I'm like, what if the keys weren't keys? What if they were like an 80s club, like an 80s goth club guitar sound that's just like what I'm putting the key filters through, so that I can get this crazy club sound for this joke song that's supposed to be a variation on like Love Shack, but if it was talking about orgasmic chocolate. Like, what if I do, and that's really exciting. And then I look at the results and I go, well, I mean, it's very like a baby learning to walk. Like, it's very like broad strokes, and the joke comes through, but it's very much like when we're talking about things that we are putting out into the world, I'm used to having a higher standard. I don't know how else to say it. Like, I'm used to being able to listen to things with the same ears that I listen to everything, and just judge things by that standard of like, oh, I'm interested in this. It's a really high level of thing. Or like, this thing, it's not really ready for prime time. And I'm like, this thing that I sent to England last night, I'm like, it's not ready for 2 a.m. infomercials. But it's gonna have to be good enough. And kind of learning to live with that is really hard for me, because I have more than I want, and there are certain levels of my skill, like when I'm recording my vocals, where I can actually achieve that level, but because I can't do the audio engineering at that level, that my skills as an arranger are not anyway, and that you need all of these things, and that I keep running into this with companies where they either don't know that you need to also, in order to produce something that's at the level of quality of the live thing, that you have to hire people who know about the virtual skills enough to help you translate that, at least at first, if what you're trying to do is put out something that is going to command the same amount of interest from the people who are your your mailing list people, your subscriber type people, and that in the same way that when you're a tiny company who's trying to kind of pivot and go, we thought this wasn't what we did. Like, we thought as a company we did something else, but we're really excited about this thing that we're discovering. And if it were being done and we wrote it for not the stage, and all of this stuff is like super exciting, but there's again always this conversation about financial support, and there's like the amount that we've been able to do with almost no time is like shocking to me. Like, I can't believe the quality of the collaborators, but because we have no money, we have to really be like needing almost none of people's time, and that's just so and I'm like, how do you solve that? Sorry that was 9,000 things. But clearly my mind is on fire with this right now, and that is me. Thank you.
Well, I believe, Summer, you are up next to introduce. I believe everyone else has introduced.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, Claudia, and reaching out. My name is Summer Don Reyes. I'm an Asian and Hispanic woman. I live in Lenni Lenape land, also known as Jersey City, New Jersey. I am a theater artist primarily and a writer. So my company is In Full Color, and we empower women of color through education and the arts. I founded the company in 2017, and it's actually our birthday later this month on the 27th. So I'm very excited about that. I have long black hair with bangs, and I have a David Bowie t-shirt on with him as Aladdin Sane because I love David Bowie. I'm in a teal colored room with blue curtains, an abstracted black, white, and yellow accented portrait of a woman, and a film reel that is cascading down on my black wall. Yeah, so I am really excited to, I guess, share a little bit about what we've done. So In Full Color, like our big thing is every year we'll do an annual show with women of color from across the country who share their monologues, poems, and we've also incorporated music and dance. And usually we would do that in person here in Jersey City. But you know, we would have people from across the country represented as writers, and then we would find someone of a similar background who could perform their part. So I think Jersey City and San Francisco are the two most diverse cities in America. So we've been able to successfully find someone to represent everyone so far. And so we just completed our 6th season, and we did that virtual. And for that, we invited some alumna of our program back. Over the years, we've served over 200 artists, most of which are BIPOC, most of which are women, and quite a few of which are queer or disabled. And we had 16 people who were able to share. Most of it was monologues. We had some poetry. And then we also had a couple music or dance or like film elements involved. And oh, thank you. I was actually going to show them. So yeah, this is our website. As you can see, we are leading a storytelling revolution. And we call this revolution authentic representation. It's when folks get to share their stories in their voices. So that authenticity is really important for us. So you can see this is our website, and we really work in all mediums. But the theater show is our big production every year, but we also do performances, we do workshops. In our local area, we've also done concerts, we have a comedy series. So I am very excited for the pandemic to be over at some point. I am a events producer, and at some point I did, in 2018, I did 135 events for In Full Color and also for a restaurant. And it's a restaurant / art gallery I was working at. So we're very, very productive. We're doing a lot of cool things. And these are photos from throughout the years. Yeah, if you scroll down, you'll see that we're also doing a campaign for Giving Tuesday. We have an open call right now for submissions, as well as other forms of art. And that open call is for primarily for women of color, obviously, but also we support people of other marginalized genders. And we have also worked with men of color for certain things, certain events, you know, they'll want to focus on, for example, we did a panel on Black Lives Matter, and we did feature a woman and a man artists who are both Black and spoke about their experiences. So that open call is for our upcoming touring season. So we're looking for folks who might want to perform their work virtually for different schools or different companies. Just because we're finding with so many time zones and with us able to expand so much virtually, we're like, we need a lot more people in our pool. We have lots and lots of wonderful works and lots of wonderful, talented people in our roster. But also, I really wanted to grow our representation of LGBTQ identity, especially because while many of our artists, at least 16% of our artists that we've worked with so far are queer, a lot of them, their monologue is not about queer identity or their poem. So I wanted to have more things about that specific experience. And then also we're growing our bilingual Spanish language programming. So we've been doing that a lot. I did want to share, can I share screen on this, Claudia? So I'm going to share the part of, so this is the production that we did. Can everyone see this? Yeah. So this is the production that we did earlier this year. Look at this cast. They're so beautiful. I love them. And you can really get a sense of the diversity that we represent. So we had 16 women, 15 women of color, and one white deaf dancer who was dancing with this woman here, Naja. So great. So I'm just scrolling down. This was a really, really wonderful production. It took place over the course of 2 nights. And we had a talk back after the performances on every night, because we usually found that was the most rewarding part of our production every year. And usually we'd only do that after our matinee. And it's really great because we believe that art creates empathy, and empathy creates change. So there's really an integral social and political aspect to what we do. And it's wonderful to talk about the different issues that all of these stories come up in it. All of these stories bring up in addition to our artistry. And I did want to share our event, which I think is what Claudia saw. So on December 9th, myself and our tech team, we're going to be sharing what we've learned in regards to virtual theater. For us, we used OBS and Zoom, and we did, approach a lot of the things that I think a lot of folks here have spoken about, like accessibility, for us, how we solved that. And we're also going to have a special guest, Benjamin Abram, who is a wonderful creator. And he did something that was more of a devised and interactive experience. So we're both going to be presenting our work a little bit and discussing some of the technical aspects of it. We're going to have a live stream the week before for anyone who's like totally fresh, totally new. I'll be like, this is Zoom. You do this thing, and people go on it, just to help them. And then we'll jump a little more into specific stuff. And a lot of it is going to be free form discussion with the panel as well. And this is like not like really content, but just to show you kind of what we did. This is our intro. So let me share computer sound. Okay, so this is just the intro to our show.
Welcome to In Full Color 2020.
Welcome to In Full Color
Welcome
2020.
Welcome to In Full Color 2020.
In a divided world, we are all struggling for a means of connection.
Today, you will, for one moment, be one with a mother.
Be one with someone rising from the ashes of abuse.
Be one with someone perhaps much like yourself.
Or not like you at all.
These beats of metal, electricity, and code in front of you today is not a screen or a machine,
but a portal in someone else's world.
A world we share together.
Find captions on screen or text transcripts in the chat.
There will be a Q&A and talk back after the show.
Submit your questions using the Q&A feature at any time.
Titles, authors, and trigger warnings will be displayed before each piece.
Sit back, relax,
enjoy the show.
So that's just an example of what we did. And then a lot of the actual pieces were in a similar format. And then I also, if you follow us and stuff, you could see there's also examples of Benjamin's work. But it's going to be really fun. So this is the ticket price is like a donation of $10. It goes towards supporting women artists of color. And then the live stream before that is free for people who just like need to get themselves started. But I'm really excited to be doing virtual stuff. Just because as an events producer, I also know like my problem is always venue, and like getting, like all of that. And then like actors are late and like there's rehearsals, but now it's like I can have rehearsals 5 minutes apart and it's like not a problem for either party to get to the rehearsal, there's just a lot of good things about virtual, even though there's a lot of challenges as well. So I'm really excited to hear what everyone's doing here. I hope to see a lot of your productions. And if you all know folks who might benefit from going to us sharing what we've learned, definitely pass that on. I'm going to share our contact information in the chat, as well as a link to our workshop. And yeah, thanks for having me, Claudia. I'm like really enjoying hearing what people are doing, and I don't know, getting to know the lay of the land.
There's a reason why we keep doing this every week. Halut Sawaf and I started this 35 weeks ago. We were like, well, we'll just do it a couple of times. We'll just stop doing it when it stops feeling useful to us. Halut is sorry she couldn't make it today. She had a dental emergency like 10 minutes before we were supposed to start. And that is a beauty of having a large blended team. So we actually have like 5 different folks who help organize this. But oftentimes we're often pulled away to our money gigs. But that was a medical emergency that pulled her away. It is a thrill to be able to connect with such a large group of human beings. I love the asynchronous nature of this group because I get to meet with like a random group of people every week, but I think of you as like a large group of like a couple hundred folks that have been hanging out with me for 35 weeks. Can I ask you a question about I love that you had an element on your screen that I think we should talk about, which was the, you're charging to replay. You're like, if people want to see your show, they have to pay. Can you talk to me a little bit about what that path is, that monetization path?
Yeah, so for us, we charge, oh, darn it, I can't remember. I think it was, oh, sorry, let me check. I think it was something like it was an affordable ticket price. Let me just look at it. So we split it in 2 nights and it was a different show each night. So we charged people separately. We did have some folks who attended both, but also I'm aware some people are like, I want to see my friend. And they would like, go see their friend on just that one night. Sorry, I'm opening up our thing on Eventbrite. I want to say it was $15. How much was my tickets?
But my real question is the work, could I see it today? Like, could I go on your website and see the work today?
Yeah. So I just wanted to establish also that the initial presentation of it was monetized, but also fairly affordable. So it was $15. And so the replay, I think, is something like really also super affordable. It is $5 per night or $9 to see both nights. And for us, it was, sometimes you will see that things have a free replay, but it didn't seem right to us that the initial screening was monetized and people paid $15 and now someone's like, wait, I wanted to see it, that they would just get to see it for free. But everyone who paid for tickets, if they were not able to make it, they received the recordings for free. And we've also been giving links to the recordings to the different schools that we'll perform at so that their students can watch it. And so we've done that for free as well. So like recently we just performed for University of Connecticut. It was our 3rd time back there, but our 1st time doing virtual. We did a high school in Illinois, and we also did a university here in Jersey City, New Jersey. So now all of those students will be able to see it. I mean, I think it's important to monetize just because we all still have expenses. Yeah, I'm not paying for a rehearsal space anymore or performance space, but I am paying a Zoom subscription. I am a person with living expenses. We also, we did a fundraiser that was a lot of workshops earlier this year. and we raised $1,500 to make In Full Color happen. We were able to pay all of our artists, and we also were able to raise over $1,900 for Black Lives Matter and other pro-Black, anti-racist causes. And I think, that's important that we're providing paid opportunities for artists of color, because there's so many places where it'll be like, come and just share your work, share your knowledge, share your artistry, and just show everyone something. So I'm not gonna pay my bills with $5 replays, but it's gonna go towards something. Zoom is, the basic package is $12 a month. Couple people buy this, I can pay my Zoom bill. And I think it's also important to just really acknowledge that marginalized folks, especially women, especially people of color, are just underpaid at every other job that they do. So, if you're taking someone's artistry, which is maybe the greatest thing they will do on this planet, like, you should pay them something. That's just what I think.
I'm getting nerdy with this. I want to open up the floor to other people's questions as well. And I've got a couple other veins of topic, but my last question on this topic is it like a Vimeo link with a code? All right. I'm always curious about, how are we sharing our work asynchronously? How are we innovating new models? And also, how are we setting what the standard is? So the fact that you have monetized the work and said, if you want to re-engage with this, there actually is a threshold you have to cross. You have to contribute something. I think that's meaningful for this new field that we are building for ourselves.
Yeah. So it's a YouTube link. It's unlisted. And I put it on YouTube because we have so many other videos already on YouTube from our different performances and things like that. So it's, an easy way for them to go down the rabbit hole, maybe see more of our work. And then, at some point it is likely that I will make the videos available for free, maybe in advance of I'm also a marketing professional. So, the next year when we're promoting the season, that's a great time for these recordings to go live and finally be free. And, a lot of people will have seen it and paid for it at that point. And then, I'll be able to promote and say like, well, hey, this is what we did last year, so come on down this year. And it's really nice to you always want to be, pitching your next product when you're working on your current one.
Big shout out to the method of giving someone a product that allows them to rabbit hole and take another step and keep exploring your content. Because I'm that girl. If I can hit play and the computer will just automatically play your stuff for 6 hours, I'm a happy camper. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were there other questions folks had around? I saw folks really perking up at the aesthetics of the video you shared. I really loved that. But yeah, before I go to some of my more nitty gritty topics, any other questions from other folks in the room?
I see Shireen said, similar thing. Is it automated? It is not automated. So it is actually me. If you email, I will be like, hi, thanks for buying this. Here's the link. Well, it depends. I think that in our store, it will send you the link, or as a digital file, like there's a link in it. So there's some automation, but a lot of times people will reach out and I'll be like, hey, it's me. So yeah, if you click that link that's on our page, it'll take you to our store. I'm gonna share a screen again really quick just to show what the store looks like. This is our store. That's me talking to a baby. And so we do a lot of things with visual artists and writers as well. So like this is our newest product. It's a wellness journal called How to Destroy the Patriarchy in 7 Days. That's a separate subject. That's really cool. There's like art and poetry and like prompts, like so you can dismantle your personal barriers and become a better advocate and activist for people. But these are the replays. So like you'll see that it's like, I don't know why it's me doing that. And so you can get individual or you can get both nights. So it's like a pretty straightforward process. This is Wix that I've used to build my website. So this is the Wix shop. It's what comes with it. It's pretty good. And yeah, I think it's just there as a digital file. So like you could click on this and then, you know, you can add to cart. It's like pretty straightforward. It also has like a complete description of what you're getting. Yeah. I know the monetization is always interesting to people because a lot of people are artists first, business people second. And I really try my hardest as an entrepreneur to really make sure that that's always present, that I'm always making a good business decision, a good marketing decision, in addition to an artistic decision.
Well, and just thinking about, you mentioned something about some of the costs of creating this work, and you mentioned, oh, venue has always been a challenge. I traveled the country trying to figure out why are so many cultural producers failing at producing outcomes of justice. And one of the biggest problems was all the land is owned by rich white dudes. So that means if we're all sharecroppers. If we want to do our justice-based cultural producing, we have to be willing to give some portion of the income to somebody who's rich and owns the building. It was my thought that the digital space offered some kind of radical freedom from that model, but then I realized it's actually just distributing it. So each of my actors is paying some small amount of money to the man for the internet signal. Who's paying for that? Are they paying for it individually? Am I, the cultural producer of the project, subsidizing their connection to the Wi-Fi that they're paying for? They have all of their own equipment. Who pays for that? So I just go, oh, it's complicated. And I'm very excited about BIPOC folk seizing the means of production. And digitally, that feels like possibly there are more possibilities for us.
I mean, I definitely liked that. In the past, we've co-produced with a lot of other nonprofits. And what was great about the digital space was it's just like we were the producers. There was no one to collaborate or answer to or have input. Not that I enjoyed working with all my co-producers before, but it was just really unique having a lot more control and to also have a more completely POC group at the helm was really unique, because a lot of nonprofits do have white leadership, do have people who are great allies, but who are not coming from a similar life experience.
Rebecca was talking about some of the new skill sets that we're gaining right now, or some of the new aesthetics that we're crafting, and going back to a childlike learning space with the craft. I also heard inside of her sharing, and this is me adding some stuff, but I heard inside that sharing some of the heaviness and weight of white supremacy culture, trying to we're trying to reach the aesthetics of perfection, of reaching some kind of, oh, I'm professional, and so this is what professionalism looks like. This is how much this is worth, and this is why I can charge money for it. So I'm deeply excited to have aesthetics that are created and valued by us and for us. But I am curious about your take on gloss, professionalism, rough edges, especially now in this producing in pandemic paradigm with the practice you're doing now.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. So like a lot of our, a lot of the show was, it's not perfect. This was our first time doing a whole virtual play. And there is a learning curve. For me, my big project, like Rebecca was talking about GarageBand, I've been learning Premiere Pro and like editing videos. And like a lot of that was just like creating trailers. And then I started making more and more things. And then now I'm like privately trying to like make music videos to practice like doing it artistically, and figuring out the rhythms of it. And so I created most of the technical elements that are in the show, and some of it uses stock videography. Some of it I created independently using like, I have a smart light right now that's like a smart bulb for Google. So I can say like, hey, Google, make the light blue, and it will turn blue. And it's, yeah, so, wow. And so like, I actually, hey, Google, make the light, candlelight. I like this. So it's like, it's really great that you can do that, but it came in handy because I was shooting, and it's like one of those things where I was like, this is not going to be perfect, but I shot, oh, maybe I'll show it. It's show and tell, everybody. It's show and tell. This is the show and tell song that I use when I'm pulling up something. And everybody's waiting on me to pull it up. So exciting. Okay.
I'm learning that I have a friend in singing my narration. I do want to give folks a heads up. This conversation's so juicy, so please share stuff. We will be meeting next Monday. Some of us celebrate a holiday called Thanksgiving. Some of us don't. I'm encouraging everyone, don't travel, don't meet in spaces with other people. Don't do that. So if there's any space between now and 11:30, where we want to share any ideas or advice for other folks who are attempting to produce their remote Thanksgiving. We want to save a little bit of time at the end for that space. But let's stay where we're at. And yes, please share video, Summer.
Exciting. So I'm just gonna play this and I'll probably narrate over it. So this accompanied a poem by this wonderful Indonesian Muslim writer, and they are a survivor of female genital mutilation. And a lot of this was about blood, and there was a theme of redness. So what you're looking at is two bowls, one inside of the other, and I'm pouring water into one bowl, and you'll see soon, hopefully soon, it's time to her poem. What's great about digital rehearsal is you can record exactly how a person's delivering something and use it. I'm pouring wine now into the other bowl. So I did this, I liked how it made like a blurred lens sort of effect that the bowls were in each other, but it also helped with multiple takes, that I wasn't combining wine and water every single time. I was able to just pour back the water, pour back the wine, and then do it over. So it reaches that point when she talks about the actual act of mutilation. And then while I'm pouring both of those bottles, I'm like this, just pouring different things. And I was able to say, hey, Google, make the light, and then she's going to respond now. I don't want her to. And I was able to time it so that I knew the smart speaker would change the light while I was doing that, totally hands-free. So I got the two bulbs. They were two for like $24 on Amazon. So it can be really nice if you want to do something. I also created, it came with an app where you can program light changes. It's not too complex. I think there's a lot more that you can do with it. I'm just going to show that really quick. It's like not that big. Are you a boy or? Oh, sorry. But you can program light changes so that it can strobe, which is really useful when you're in theater. But I'll share this. This was part of a poem by a Black trans woman about her girlhood and a lot of the things that people would say. And these were originally all lines that she delivered in her poem, but we wanted to, I came up with the idea of this chorus that would create like this recurring motif that strung all of the pieces together. And so we did a lot of like audio work and layering these different things recorded by different voices. And so the chorus here is, in some of the pieces, they're a supportive force, and here they're antagonizing. But the idea is this was flashing in two different portions of the Zoom screen while our performer was responding to them. So I think that's.
Do we need to do a warning about strobing or flashing lights? Are we good?
Yeah, if anyone is sensitive to light, this isn't too fast, but you may want to turn away. Also, this is some very transphobic comments here, so trigger warnings everywhere. And there were trigger warnings on title cards before the pieces in context.
Boy, you're a girl.
What's with the damn
Why do your
sweat?
pants look like that?
Why are your lashes so long?
Stop walking like that.
Your shirt is too damn
You're
tight.
built like a linebacker.
Get yourself
You
together.
should play football.
You're gonna grow up to be a
You
man.
gotta be like your father.
You're a black man
Stop
in
with that
America.
gay shit.
Your manhood needs to be protected.
Stop fucking pussyfoot.
Man,
Man up.
Man up.
I hated recording that because I was like, I hate what I'm saying. But and it's very intense. But Glenford does a really great job of responding to that. And that is actually just the smart bulb transitioning between the two colors that I selected. And I have like a photo box kind of, and I just laid it flat. And so I'm actually it's a video of just that photo box and the light changing in it. Yeah, which I usually use as a reflector, which is why my whole place is illuminated right now by my light.
I love that Sabrina is off camera. Sabrina's a lighting designer, and I'm pretty confident that Sabrina's like, yeah, yeah.
Yay! Yeah, it's if anything for virtual theater, like I would recommend smart bulbs for sure, because it's a pretty affordable way to achieve different colors and effects in your home. And also it's like really cool that I can walk into my office and ask it to turn on the light. It's very convenient. It's also nice for mood setting if you're setting a mood in your home outside of artistic purposes. If you just want to set a mood, I like to meditate or do yoga to like a blue light. Nice. It's very, very nice. Yeah. So I don't know if anyone has any other questions, but we're going to be sharing this and like a lot more at our event as well. And so I'm hoping that this is, giving everyone an idea of some of the things that we were able to do, because I know everyone is doing so many different innovative things, and it's cool to see what other people are figuring out.
Just giving us a moment if there's any extra questions or final comments. You've been getting a lot of affirmation in the chat as well. Well, this was such a pleasure. And we're a group where we invite folks to come back. So you're invited to come back. Others in your crew are invited to join and share what they're working on in real time, because this is an evolving project that we're working on. I'm going to return us to the pandemic. And I'm going to share a decision I made this morning, a rather hardcore decision. I'm not doing the quarantine residency. Calling up Justice set up this beautiful room. It's gorgeous. It's got its own special bathroom full of lavender products, nice backyard. From all of the research I'm doing and the upcoming surges of COVID-19, I don't think that idea is the responsible idea that I should do. So I'm shutting it down. Super sad to be shutting it down, but it feels like the responsible move. So this is me, Claudia Alec, just being super aggressive and saying, hey, I think we need to stay indoors and away from each other for a little while, for the next couple of months. So with that very strong Claudia Alec personally held opinion, let's talk about holiday gatherings, personal gatherings. So outside of the context of the colonialist holiday that is Thanksgiving, or the other holiday that is Christmas, or the other things that all of the holidays that are coming up that will have people wanting to gather, what alternatives can we offer folks? We're producing, we're gathering folks. What are we already doing that regular folks could be doing too?
I just wanted to suggest, giving people virtual presents. This is also a time where, artists may not be making the same living or income as they were before the pandemic. So like create something, I don't know, artistic that you can share in your computer on a Zoom and be like, this video is for you because I love you, It's mostly free. That's what I would suggest, because I know I'm looking at my Christmas list and I'm like, please, everyone have a fight with me like in the next couple of weeks so I don't have to get you anything. Too many people on this list.
Welcome to the space, Tanya. We are now once again an international crew. We are talking about different techniques we can do to gather over the holidays that don't require being in shared physical space. What can regular folks learn from our digital practices? I'm thinking of using Padlet and inviting all my family members to like share pictures of them eating and stuff. Because my family is prolific. It's a very large family all over the country. So I was like, there's no way for me to like schedule a group Zoom where everybody's eating at the same time. Can't do it. But like I can create a space where people can post pictures and do stuff. And that was one of my ideas.
This isn't something I'm doing in my artistic practice, but with some of our film friends in Detroit, we've been doing Netflix parties. And I think that is something that like a family like if you like, there's something that you watch traditionally at a certain time of year together, you could like organize a Netflix party to watch it together. Cause it is, I have to say it's super fun to just like be able to chat, like especially if it's like a cheesy movie you've seen over and over again where you don't have to pay attention and it's more about like what you're all saying to each other while watching it is something that I think that I'm going to suggest for my family, as well as like maybe like sending ingredients of like things that we would make to each other, like to my mom who used to make Christmas cookies and like I don't think is planning to this year because we're not coming, but like we could maybe do it. If I send it to her, we could do it together over Zoom, and that would be an added sort of interactivity of something that like, you know, would give it a little bit more festive spirit.
There is an app called Cast that also works for group shared, like watching something at the same time. I've done a couple of experiments sharing content over Zoom and have successfully been able to watch some Star Trek with my sister. Oh, I might come up with more platforms that allow for sharing space. Oh, there's also, if you go on Twitch, this is going to shut down at the end of the year. So it's only available until the end of the year. Twitch Sings. If you want to have a real dumb karaoke party with your friends, Twitch Sings.
Why are they shutting it down? Do you know?
Because they didn't make enough money on it, I guess.
That sucks. I would now use it. And I'm just now knowing about it. I would have used it more. I would have used it.
There's always YouTube karaoke videos that you can share. I don't know. I liked the Twitch Sings, but yeah, I never actually used it with anyone. I was going to say something, but I can't remember what it was about. Oh, have you all seen, like, there was like a meme about people who had a real life PowerPoint presentation party where they all made like a stupid PowerPoint and like and like it was like a competition of some sort. I think like they were supposed to be joke PowerPoints, but what better time to do something like that than now? Like I really want to my plan is to come out to my dad. I'm bisexual. Because my sister is also queer and like they haven't been the most supportive, and I kind of want to be like, hey, listen, if you're not okay with having gay daughters, you're not gonna have any daughters. So that's my plan when she's ready, and I want to make a PowerPoint for when he says, what did I do to make you gay? And I'll be like, 1996 bought me tickets to the touring production of Cats, you know, and just like go through a whole thing. That's what I'm gonna do. That's my plan. So I could start that now.
I like the idea of shared recipes, but I also like the idea of like recipe contests, or like everybody like being like, this is my pie. This is my pie. I am a little concerned for large families that have different access to technologies, different ways of communicating. I'm curious about what are some of the ways we can help family members on board. The story of Michaela helping a blind person get onto Zoom in 2 sessions. I want to know more about that. But yeah, how do we get everybody on the same page if they're not already digital producers or aren't already in this producing land?
Do you remember earlier in our chats there was a group that does like dancing for folks with Alzheimer's, and I think they came. I can look it up. They came and they shared like how to get on Zoom, and it was somebody and like their mom. So it was like maybe a grandparent type oriented. I'll see if I can find the link because I think that for me slows down the process enough for anyone who's at any age just unfamiliar or uncomfortable still with Zoom.
Hi, it's Mickey. I can talk about, I mean, the first thing, this was my biggest concern with getting RICRIPS online was how to get Marie on, and it wound up being a lot more easy than, well, mostly because she already had a great resource, the East Bay Center for the Blind, and they have a person who teaches computer skills. And so Marie reached out to that person and got her on the phone. And with her on the phone and then me on Zoom, between the two of us, we were able to, I mean, Fran from the East Bay Center for the Blind did most of the work. So that was huge. I mean, the thing is, Marie had a computer, and the first thing I asked her is, do you have a camera? And she didn't know. So she was able to find that out by talking to Fran or talking to friends. And then she said, I have something on here called Zoom, but I don't know what to do with it. And then, so Fran talked her into the Zoom meeting, and then we were able to figure out what the keystrokes were for turning the camera on and off and the audio on and off. Fran was able to figure it out. I was just supporting. And then we immediately did it again, like a couple of days later for practice, just to hang out again. And, it was so wonderful to see her. Been the first time I'd seen her in well over a year. The other thing I wanted to lift up is there's a queer karaoke that goes on Monday nights and Friday nights. And I will try and find the link and put it somewhere. It used to be in person and is continuing in the digital sphere.
I also feel like this is a time where folks can do group art projects. I know that I'm often the auntie that has all the children surrounding them, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to keep you entertained. Let's do this. And we're playing games. There are platforms where you can do board games and play board games together. But I'm also wondering, are there any theater exercises or art practices that we have that might be fun if we're trying to do a group celebration with friends or family?
Pet fashion shows.
Oh my God.
Costume design for pets. You can even make a runway. You can do digital backgrounds. My nieces are into crocheting. Yeah.
Yes, to pet fashion shows. Also, you can share you could have a shared backgrounds. You can have the same, you can share a picture to everybody, and then you can all have the same backgrounds.
You can make a runway.
You can play with green pieces of paper.
And you can have a smart light bulb and light it.
We something that's worked for me for a lot of different age groups is I'm blanking on the word, where you tell people find something green, scavenger hunt, some kind of scavenger hunt, or and you can also that's simple for little kids, like find something blue, find something you love. But then you can also be more, you can get more in depth in terms of like, okay, everyone go find something that reminds you of Uncle Bill. And then everyone describes why that reminds them of that person, and these kind of things about the other people in the group. The scavenger hunts can be really fun.
It feels like Story Circle is a piece of every family gathering I have. Like that's a thing that happens where it's like, all right, everyone, we're gonna go around the table. Everyone's gonna tell a story. I'm liking the idea of creating an educational PowerPoint on colonialism for my family. I'm not sure how that's going to go over, but I'm excited about it.
Just posted in the chat, Dana Corrigan does the queer karaoke on Monday nights and Friday nights.
Thank you.
There's also this game that I recently purchased. So it is, you know, there's an upfront cost, but it's called The Skin Deep, and they have different sets of cards for different relationships. But they have one for families, and it's just like questions, and you like ask the question of one person and then they ask it back of you. And it's just a way to like start conversation, and because it's remote like this, you can, you know, it's like a story circle. It's just a way to start connection. And I'll drop the link for the website in the chat.
I have a couple of games that I really like to play with my family and with kids. And like one of them is I've seen it online a lot, where like you have a word and you have to come up with a song that has that in the lyrics, and you have to sing. I played a board game of it where they're like, it has to be at least 8 words from the song. And you know, so it might be like survive, and then you might sing I will survive or whatever, and then you can like pass. And then the stupidest thing, I used to be a stepmom, and one of the best things that I did, like I made everything a game, is like when I would come home from grocery shopping, we would guess what the items were as we were putting them away. And you had to describe them in 3 words that weren't like the product name or brand. And some of them would be pretty funny, you know, and some of them would just be really silly. But that's always fun. Yes, Encore is the game. Elisa, yes. I have like a really old version. It looks like it's from the 80s. I don't know if they made a new one.
Well, oh, go ahead.
Just wanted to suggest in terms of if anyone's trying new online games, I think a colleague of mine sent a Marie Claire article with like 10 ways to spice up your next Zoom party or something like that. I don't remember the actual title, but a lot of them had like, you know, they were free, but they didn't work really well. You know, code names worked better because it was integrated with the game, but like the free bingo, like, so test and try the things. I may have spent, you know, I don't know, an hour testing some of those games, but I think I saved myself lots of emails and headaches. And in the end, the youth I was working with really, really liked the game Among Us, if you don't know it. So yeah, it looks a little bit like this on your phone. You can't see it because your reflection is there, but it's, yeah, try it and test it like you would for anything else, I think, even with family.
Yes, it used to be Among Us was for the kids, but then AOC went on the interweb and combined political advocacy and Twitch live streaming, and now we're all on Among Us. It's so much fun. Although I sometimes feel creepy because I'm like, I think I'm playing with some 13-year-olds and we're pretending to murder each other. I'm not sure if I like this anymore. But it's fascinating. All of these different companies and technologies, they're creating different ways we can have shared interaction in digital space. Some of the spaces allow for chatting. Also one other thing to keep in mind is Discord. Discord is a great tool to use for connecting with your friends and family at this time. You can be playing a video game and have your Disco audio chat just on the entire time. People can be in different digital spaces, but your shared audio can be in the Discord. So there's all sorts of options. And then there's the good old book club. Thank you, Tanya. And that's part of the reason why I was like, do we have any like basic theater games that might translate well to this new need? All right, my friends and colleagues, we are at the end of our session time together. Like I said, we're actually going to be gathering on Monday. There's no expectation that anyone shows up. It's a holiday week, so I'm hoping folks will be doing other things, but we're going to be holding our spaces because it's a digital world, and as Summer was reflecting, we can do it so easily because I'm just here all the time. So next Monday, 10 o'clock, this space will be open to us. Thank you so much for joining us with Producing in Pandemic. See you next week.
Bye, everyone.